Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kancha Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Kiravaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Kiravaradari. Yasoda Nandana Prachachana Ranchana. Yasoda Nandana Prachachana Ranchana. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kancha Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kancha Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Kiravaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Kiravaradari. Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kancha Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kancha Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Kiravaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Kiravaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Kiravaradari. Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kancha Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kancha Bihari. Jayam Swa Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvajakacharya Asatar Satasi Srimad Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Swa Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvajakacharya Asatar Satasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sri Mathura Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2. Chapter 1, the first step in God realization. Text number 24. Vishesha tasya deha ayam stavishta cha staviyasam yatra idam Vyajyate Vishvam Bhutam Bhavyam Bhavat Cha Sat Visheshas Tasya Dehoyam Stavishtacha Savayasam Savayasam Yachedam Vajate Vishvam Bhutam Bhavyam Bhavachcha Sat Visheshas Tasya Dehoyam Stavishtascha Vivayasam Taviyasam Yachedam Vajate Vishvam Bhutam Bhavam Bhavashcha Sat Visheshas Tasya Dehoyam Stavishtascha Vaviyasam Yachedam Vajate Vishvam Bhutam Bhavyam Bhavashcha Sat
Sheshas Tasya Dehoyam
Tasya Dehoyam
Stavishtascha Staviyasam Yatredam Vijayate Vishvam Bhutam Bhavyam Bhavachcha Sat
Visheshastasya dehoyam Stavishtascha Yatredang vyajate vishvam
Vedam vyajate vishvam
Bhutang bhavyang bhavachcha sat
Bhutam bhavyam bhavachcha sat
Vishesastasya dehoyam Stavishtascha stahiyasam Yatredam vyajyate vishvam Bhutam bhavam bhavachcha sat
Visheshastasya dehoyam Stavishtascha staviyasam Yatredam vyayate vishvam Bhutam bhavyam bhavachcha sat
Visheshastasya dehoyam Stavishtascha staviyasam Yatredam vyajate vishvam Bhutam bhavyam bhavachcha sat
Visheshastasya dehoyam Stavishtascha staviyasam Yatredam vyajate vishvam Bhutam bhavam bhavachcha sat
Visheshastasya dehoyam Stavishtascha staviyasam Yatredam vyajate vishvam Bhutam bhavyam bhavachcha sat
Visheshastasya dehoyam Stavishtascha staviyasam Yatredam vyajate vishvam Bhutam bhavam bhavachcha sat
Vishesha, personal, tasya, his, deha, body, ayam, this, stavishta, grossly material, cha, and, staviyasam, of all matter, yatra, wherein, idam, all these phenomena, vajyate, is experienced, vishvam, universe, bhutam, past, bhavyam, future, bhavat, present, cha, and, sat, resultant. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the Absolute Truth, wherein the universal resultant, past, present, and future of material time is experienced. Purport. Anything, either material or spiritual, is but the expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 13:13, the omnipotent Lord has His transcendental eyes, heads, and other bodily parts distributed everywhere. He can see, hear, touch, or manifest Himself from anywhere and everywhere, for He is present everywhere as the supersoul of all infinitesimal souls, although He has His particular abode in the absolute world. This relative world is also his phenomenal representation because it is nothing but the expansion of his transcendental energy. Although he is in his abode, still his energy is distributed everywhere, just as the sun is localized as well as expanded everywhere, and the rays of the sun, being non-different from the sun, are accepted as expansions of the sun disk. In the Vishnu Purana 122.52, it is said that as fire expands its rays and heat from one place, similarly, the Supreme Spirit, the personality of Godhead, expands himself by his manifold energy everywhere and anywhere. The phenomenal manifestation of the gigantic universe is only a part of his Virata body. The less intelligent class of men cannot conceive of the transcendental, all-spiritual form of the Lord, but they are astounded by his different energies, just as the Aborigines are struck with wonder by the manifestation of lightning, a gigantic mountain, or a hugely expanded banyan tree. The Aborigines praise the strength of the tiger and the elephant because of their superior energy and strength. The Asuras also cannot recognize the existence of the Lord, although there are vivid descriptions of the Lord in the revealed scriptures, although the Lord incarnates and exhibits his uncommon strength and energy, and although he is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by learned scholars and saints like Vyasadeva, Narada, Asita, and Devala in the past, and by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, as also by the Acharyas like Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, and Lord Sri Chaitanya in the modern age. The Asuras do not accept any evidential proof from the revealed scriptures, nor do they recognize the authority of the great Acharyas. They want to see eye to eye at once. Therefore, they can see the gigantic body of the Lord as Virata, which will answer their challenge, and as they are accustomed to pay homage to superior material strength like that of the tiger, elephant, lightning, etc., they can offer respect to the Virat Rupa. Lord Krishna, by the request of Arjuna, exhibited his Virat Rupa for the Asuras. A pure devotee of the Lord, being unaccustomed to look into such mundane, gigantic form of the Lord, requires special vision for the purpose. The Lord, therefore, favored Arjuna with special vision for looking into his Virata Rupa, described in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This Virata Rupa of the Lord was especially manifested not for the benefit of Arjuna, but for that unintelligent class of men who accept anyone and everyone as the incarnation of the Lord, and so mislead the general mass of people. For them, the indication is that one should ask the chief incarnation to exhibit his Virat Rupa and thus be established as an incarnation. The Virat Rupa manifestation of the Lord is simultaneously a challenge to the atheist and a favor for the Asuras, who can think of the Lord as Virata and thus gradually cleanse the dirty things in their hearts in order to become qualified to actually see the transcendental form of the Lord in the near future. This is a favor of the all-merciful Lord to the atheists and the gross materialists. Jai Shri Shri Gaura Nitai. Srila Jagannath Pranati. Gauravar Bhava Bhumaishtam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannathaya Te Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to Jagannath Das Babaji, who is respectful to the entire Vaishnava community and who discovered the place where Lord Chaitanya appeared. So today is the auspicious Tirabhava Tithi, the disappearance day of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. There's a nice painting on the wall here. Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj is seated between Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Srila Jagannath Das Babaji appeared somewhere around the year 1776 in Bengal. And the early part of his life was mostly spent in Vrindavan, and the latter part of his life was mostly spent in Navadvip, two holy places in India. And in the year 1880, when Jagannath Das Babaji was more than 100 years old, he met Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur for the first time in Vrindavan Dham. And Jagannath Das Babaji was recognized at that time as the most advanced soul in Vrindavan, Navadvip, and Jagannath Puri. There was no devotee who was recognized to be greater than him. And in his Krishna Leela, he's accepted as Rasika Manjari. Manjari is a young maidservant of the gopis. Now, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji had many disciples. Among them were Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Hare Krishna Das Babaji, Ram Das Babaji, and Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji was his grand disciple. And when he was residing in Vrindavan Dham, he wanted to install deities of Gaurnitai, and he performed a gorgeous installation ceremony in Vrindavan. And during that ceremony, Gaurnitai appeared like they were made of gold. They were so beautiful. And Srila Jagannath Babaji also worshipped the Shadbhuja form of Lord Chaitanya, the six-armed form of Lord Chaitanya. And that form is still worshipped in Vrindavan Dham. And these Gaurnitai deities were worshipped in Vrindavan while Srila Jagannath Das Babaji was there. And one day, a band of dacoits invaded the temple and grabbed everything they could that was of value, and they also took the deities of Gaurnitai. But when they were going out the temple door, they tripped and dropped the deities, and since the sun was rising and then daylight was coming, they left the deities there and hastened away. And after this incident, Jagannath Das Babaji said that from now on, these deities should be taken care of by someone else. So his servant was named Bihari Das Babaji, and Bihari Das Babaji handed over the worship of Gaurnitai to Mother Goswamini, along with 2,000 rupees for their maintenance. And Jagannath Das Babaji did most of his bhajan at a place called Surya Kund. And his bhajan was really amazing because he could go on chanting Hare Krishna for days at a time. And sometimes he would go chanting for days on end with no food, no water, and no sleep. And one day, Jagannath Babaji begged some bread from a sweeper woman. In India, the sweeper class is considered untouchables. And this sweeper lady, she was ashamed because she considered herself low class, and her offering was not fit for a great Vaishnava like Jagannath Babaji. But Jagannath Babaji insisted that he be given some prasad. So the Vaishnava sweeper lady considered and gave Jagannath Babaji some bread. And after this incident, the smarter Brahmins criticized Jagannath Babaji because he was taking food from the home of a low-class person. This is considered taboo by these smarter Brahmins. But Jagannath Babaji explained that this sweeper woman, in the time of Lord Krishna's descent to Vrindavan, Lord Krishna arranged for 80,000 saints to take birth in the families of Raj. And this sweeper woman was present at that time as one of the 80,000 saints. And she was the most fortunate because she was always in contact with the dust of Vrindavan Dham. So Jagannath Das Babaji explained that actually this sweeper woman was worshipable by all Vaishnavas. And Jagannath Das Babaji also was famous for being respectful to all the inhabitants of the Dhams, both of Vrindavan and Navadvip. And when he was living in Navadvip, he was living in a tent on the western bank of the Ganges. And on the eastern bank of the Ganges is Mayapur. And Jagannath Das Babaji had his Bhajan Kutir on the west side of the Ganges. And when he was living in his tent doing his bhajan, there was a dog that gave birth to 5 puppies. And later on, when these puppies grew up a little bit, they became fond of Jagannath Das Babaji, and sometimes Jagannath Das Babaji would let these dogs eat the prasadam that was on his plate, and sometimes he would let the dogs eat first, and he wouldn't take the prasad till the dogs had finished eating. And Jagannath Das Babaji's servant, his servant's name was Bihari Das Babaji. He was bewildered because in Vedic culture, dogs are considered the most unclean animal, and he presented his doubt to Jagannath Das Babaji because one time Bihari Das chased the dogs away, and Jagannath Das Babaji wouldn't eat until the dogs had eaten prasad. And Jagannath Babaji said, no, these dogs are residents of Navadvip, but they're worshipable, they're Dhamvasis. And Jagannath Babaji would collect alms, and his servant, Bihari Das Babaji, would keep all the rupees in a bag. And one day there was a bag full of rupees, and it was something like 200 rupees. And this time Jagannath Das Babaji was in his old age, and he was almost blind. and he could not walk. And he Biharidas Babaji at this time decided to take out 12 rupees from the collection for use in his guru's service. But Jagannath Das Babaji somehow understood this, although he was blind, and he said, "Why have you kept out 12 rupees? I want all the rupees in this bag." So Biharidas Babaji was amazed that his guru could understand that he had kept out 12 rupees from the collection of 200 rupees. And Jagannath Babaji ordered that these 200 rupees be spent at a sweet shop for rasgullas, and these rasgullas should be fed to all the cows in Navadvip. And Jagannath Babaji had many disciples, and some of the disciples were engaged in growing tulsis and growing fruits, flowers, and vegetables in gardens for the service of Sri Sri Gauranatai. And some of his disciples didn't like the service of gardening, and they said they would rather meditate on Lord Krishna's eternal Ashtaka Lila, Lord Krishna's eternal eightfold daily pastimes. They thought that this is higher service than working in the garden, which is meant for the Vaishyas. And they presented this beef they had to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was their older and well-respected godbrother. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur told them that this service in the garden is beneficial to cleanse the heart of material desires. And if one tries to meditate on Krishna's daily eightfold pastimes prematurely, there's a danger that he can become sahaja and his bhajan will stop, because these pastimes are intimate. And one time some other disciples wanted to have a festival of distributing prasad to the Babajis of Navadvip. And Jagannath Das Babaji said no, he should distribute the prasad of Gauranatai to the animals of Navadvip. This will be more beneficial, because at that time the Babajis and still also today, many Babajis in Navadvip were, although they were in the dress of Paramahamsa and they were wearing Kunti Mala and Vaishnav Tilak, still secretly they were doing many sinful activities. So Jagannath Das Babaji rejected their association. And Jagannath Das Babaji also criticized the professional reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam. And he said that the reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam, they were reciting Srimad Bhagavatam as a business, and as a result, they were clearing their paths toward hell. So he advised the Bhagavatam reciters to stop their business immediately and repent for their sins. And Jagannath Das Babaji lived for many, many years. It is said that when he passed away, he was 144 years old, and he discovered, because of his pure vision, although in his old age he was blind, by his spiritual vision, he could see many lost places of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, and he discovered the Yoga Pit where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. At that time, but one day Bhaktivinoda Thakur was looking out toward the land of Mayapur, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw this Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw this tall palm tree that was glowing, it was effulgent. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur thought that this might be the actual place of Lord Chaitanya's divine appearance. And he arranged for Jagannath Das Babaji to go there. At that time, Jagannath Das Babaji was very old, and wherever he went, he had to be carried in a basket. His servant Bihari Das Babaji was a very strong man, and he carried Jagannath Das Babaji in a basket on top of his head. And when Jagannath Das Babaji got to the place of the Yoga Pit, there were many mounds of tulsi plants growing there luxuriantly. And when Jagannath Das Babaji got to that place, even though he could not see and he could not walk, he leaped up from his basket and started and began dancing, because he confirmed this is the place of Lord Chaitanya's divine appearance in this world. And soon afterwards, Bhaktivinoda Thakur established a beautiful temple there. And if you go to Mayapur, you can see that beautiful temple that was established by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's still existing. And in Jagannath Das Babaji's old age, his eyes were drooping so much that his eyes were constantly closed, and if he wanted to see anything, he had to physically open his eyes with his fingers. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to see anything. And one time, Jagannath Babaji had a plan to travel from Vrindavan to Navadvip, and his servant Bihari Das Babaji was requested to carry Jagannath Das Babaji from Vrindavan to Navadvip. This is a journey of several hundred kilometers. And when Bihari Das Babaji put Jagannath Babaji in a basket on top of his head, he felt his full weight, but very soon afterwards, Jagannath Babaji, by his mystic power, he became as light as a towel, and he was easily carried to Navadvip from Vrindavan. And on the way to Vrindavan, they passed through a great forest. And on the path in the forest, Bihari Das Babaji noticed there was a tiger. And immediately, Bihari Das Babaji became apprehensive, and he started to back away. And Jagannath Das Babaji, although he was blind, he could understand what was happening, and he reassured his servant, "Don't be afraid. These tigers are associates of Mahaprabhu. These tigers have been sent here to guard us on our journey through this dangerous forest." And as they were traveling through the forest, the tigers followed silently behind, and the tigers followed them all the way through the forest to guard them from any danger. And one day, Jagannath Babaji asked his disciple, Biharidas Babaji, to recite Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Biharidas Babaji felt helpless because he was illiterate. He was bewildered, and Jagannath Babaji told his disciples, just look at the stanzas in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Biharidas Babaji did as his guru told him, and he began reciting the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Are there any comments or questions? Yes.
This is
Maharaj.
not about Dragon, this is about the purport, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. This is nice because Srila Prabhupada answers a question that I had that I hadn't realized, that what type of vision did Arjuna receive for visualizing the Vishwarup form. And here Prabhupada says this is, because he was a devotee, he couldn't see the Virata Rupa. So he had to be given vision that was suitable for the atheists and the non-devotees, so that they could see, so he could see Vishwarup. So it wasn't, although it's called divine eyes, give me the divine eyes to see vision. It was divine because it was given by Lord Krishna. But the idea was that it was below him. Normally a pure devotee wouldn't be able to see the Vishwarup. Therefore, it's a special gift. This showing of the Virata Rupa is a special gift for the atheists and asuras. And Lord Krishna gave that vision to Arjuna temporarily, so he could see, and to benefit the atheists and the asuras.
Thank you, Maharaj. It's time for the Sankirtan Festival. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
So we'll read the scores from the week of February 20th for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, the Sampradaya Acharyas, their lordships Sri Sri Gaurnitai, and all the assembled devotees. And Tulsi Maharani, Ki Jai. This week we had 8 book distributors. In 8th position, with 4 small books and 2 Maha big books, for a total of 5 book points, Mridanga Prabhu.
Haribo.
Here's a Maha banana. In 7th position with 1 big book and 1 Maha big book for a total of 3 book points, Radhastali Devidasi. In 6th position with 2 Maha big books for a total of 4 book points, Jai Keshava Prabhu. In 5th position, with 5 magazines, 3 small books, 2 medium books, 1 big book, and 3 Maha big books for a total of 9.25 book points, Maturnath Prabhu. In 4th position, with 7 small books, 2 medium books, 16 big books, 9 Maha big books, for a total of, this is actually a tie for this 4th and 3rd position, for a total of 36.75 book points, Bhakti Jiyo Prabhu. Haribo.
36 points that's for one.
Yes.
One of the ties.
They both have 36.75 book points. So the other one tied for 36.75 book points with 21 small books, 5 medium books, 10 big books, and 9 Maha big books, 30 for 36.75 book points. Magadari Prabhu. Haribo. And in 2nd position, with 20 small books, 26 big books, and 13 Maha big books, for a total of 57 book points, Damodar Prabhu. And in 1st position, with 5 magazines, 3 Arabic small books, 24 small books, 8 medium books, and 52 big books, 29 Maha big books, for a total of 129.5 book points, Rishi Kumar Das. Hare Krishna. And the RVC total for the week of February 20th is 10 magazines, 75 small books, 17 medium books, 106 big books, 66 Maha big books, for a total of 281.25 book points. Rupanuga Vedic College Ki Jai. Thanks. Highlight from this week. When Bhakta Damodar and I were at Walmart, we saw a guy in a cowboy hat and kind of like a detective type of one of those really long coats. We said, "Wow, are you a movie star?" And he said, he said, "Yes, I am a movie star, and previously I was a firefighter, and I also make music." And so he told us his whole life story for quite a long time. His name is Hollywood. And
His name is what?
Hollywood?
That's his name.
That's what they call him. So he told us his life story, and he played some of his music. He said he makes it all for God, and it was very nice. And yeah, he took the Bhagavad Gita, and he was very thankful. Hollywood Ki Jai.
Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
We were at Walmart with Rishi and Bhakti Jiyo. And there was a nice couple. They had a crazy style. Like the woman, she had cat ears and fuzzy boots, crazy hair. And I approached them, and they were super excited to take a book into spirituality. They both worship higher powers. And they gave us they gave Rishi and I some bracelets, and she couldn't give a donation right away, so I went inside, and then I came outside and I realized she had been waiting outside for 15 minutes to give me the donation. She gave a nice donation, so it was really nice. Transcendental Book Distribution, Ki Jai.
So we were at the Harinam, and it was really ecstatic. There was a lot of devotees. Actually, 11 devotees went to Maha Harinam this Saturday, so that was very nice. And we were doing chanting in the plaza, and we were doing book distribution. And somebody came from across the street and was directly approaching was approaching me with all the stacks of books, and I waved at him, and he was in a good mood. So he came up to where we had all the books stashed in the cart.
Wait, I misunderstood. Was he carrying the books, or you were carrying the books?
I was carrying the books.
Okay.
And I had the cart, and he came from across the street towards me, and I was like waved at him, and he was on his way to come talk to me already. And he was a very tall personality with big hair, and he was in a jolly mood. And he asked me, "What books do you have? I know about Hare Krishna a little bit, and I want to know what books you have." And so I just grabbed the Sapta, which is 7 big books. Big hardbacks and big books, and I just put that in his hand, and I said, "This is the one. This is the whole library."
What were the 7 in that stack you gave him?
One is Bhagavad Gita hardback. One was Krishna book hardback. One was Nectar Devotion, which is a hardback. Then there's also Teachings of Lord Kapila Dev, Science of Self-Realization hardback. And then there was also Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So then I put that in his hand, and we were chatting, and I asked him what he does. He says, "I don't do anything." And I said, "Okay, then great. Then you have plenty of time to read these books." And then he said, I told him that, you just give from the heart, I gave him the whole thing, like, how much do you think this would be in the Barnes and Nobles? And I told him, for us to print and distribute, bring it to you, it just costs us $50. Can you help us with a donation? And he said, well, what about 25? I said, just give from the heart, do the best you can. He said, that's good, because then, you bring that out of somebody. So he liked that, and he said, I got 4 $20 bills in my wallet. And he said he believes in 4 principles or something like that. So that sounded like a good sign. And he said, because of that, I'm going to give you this donation. So he gave me $80 for the stack, gave him Srimad Bhagavatam and another book about chanting Hare Krishna. And he was happy. And then he came and he got some japa beads and he chanted with the devotees. And that's it. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Can we hear a highlight from Bhakti Gio, Prabhu?
So we went to a Walmart last week, and it was, I was walking around and I saw this lady with some, I think it was just some nice clothes, and I was like, hey, I like your outfit. And she said, oh, thanks. She was in a good mood. And we started talking. I told her about the books, and yeah, it went smoothly. She was saying, I can't remember exactly what she said, but she was really happy to get the books because she was really into meditation and yoga. So, yeah, we got her some books. Transcendental book.
Ki Jai.
Jai.
Mathuranath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So I had the great privilege of being invited to the Super Bowl party. There was like some type of fair or a parade, I guess you would call it. And there was a lot of people. And it was Rishi Kumar Prabhu, Magadari Prabhu, and Bhakti Damodar Prabhu and I. And we had a very intense Harinam, a lot of people, so we were chanting for hours just at the top of our lungs. The speaker died very soon, so it was just really intense. And all of the books that were distributed, it was just the holy name, distributing them. I didn't really say anything to anyone. Really? I did have one interaction where there was this man, Matthew, and I don't know if it was his mother or his wife or his friend, Judy. And Matthew had a drum with him, and he sat and he joined the Harinam for probably the better part of an hour. And he played the drum, and we tried to get him to chant Hare Krishna, and his friend stuck around, and she was behind the book table, and I had given her some books to take a look at. And I noticed that she wasn't really looking at them, so I opened up to a picture of Prabhupada. And I said, take a look at these pictures. These are really nice. And as soon as she saw Prabhupada, she started crying. And she said, you mean if I follow what you guys are doing, I can become happy and peaceful like him? And I said, yeah, all you have to do is chant the holy name. Like, listen, here's the words. And she tried chanting a little bit, and tears were just kind of like falling from her eyes. And she said, this will help me get away from all the bad stuff. And I said, yeah, you just chant. And she continued to stick around for a pretty long time, just about until we left. Transcendental Book Distribution Key.
Can we hear a transcendental highlight from Jai Keshava Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. So last night we had a couple visitors that came late. Fortunately, there was some prasad still left that Magadari helped them out with, and they were two Indian-bodied devotees from taking classes at Missouri State in Springfield, and so they had driven all the way from there, and they came too late to take darshan, but they were still very happy to be here.
They came just for this? For Sunday feast?
Yeah, but they showed up late. Anyway, so they still got prasadam, and we talked for a while, and Radhastali helped the lady put on tilak, and we distributed a Gita to her, and I read a couple verses from it, and we just talked about spiritual topics for a little bit. They left very happy, and hopefully they'll come back for Gaur Pranim.
Haribol.
Transcendental Book Distribution Key.
Can we have a highlight from Radhastali Devidasi?
On Saturday, we went to the plaza for Maha Harinam, and right as we stepped out of the parking garage, Magadari called to these ladies because they were just staring at us and just looked so interested. And he started to talk to them, but then he asked me to continue to try to offer them some books. So it was really, this is Magadari's mercy. So the lady, she said, "What is this? I've seen you guys on YouTube. What is it?" And I just said, "Oh, these are some books on yoga and meditation." "Oh, I do yoga," and so she's like, "I want some of these books." So she kind of just, it was just really, really nice. She took the Bhagavad Gita and Science of Self-Realization. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
Magadari Mercy Ki Jai.
And Mridanga Prabhu?
I don't really have any specific things to relate except the two Maha big books and the 4 small books were distributed at combination of the Harinam this week and last week. Haribol.
Vivo. Do you remember who took the Maha Big Book? What made them want to take the Maha Big Book?
The Harinam.
Chansana Bhakti Shri Ki Jai.